Deathcore Legacy Book 1 Part 7. Chapter 32. After taking her breakfast, Vice Admiral Adam headed toward her personal office. She sat in her chair, pulled herself forward, and placed her food on the desk. "Before I start my day," she said to herself, reaching for the cup. "Coffee first." Before the cup reached her lips, every display on the desk flickered once and turned blue. "Vice Admiral," Destiny said through the office speakers, far too calm for that early in the morning. "I apologize for interrupting your ritual consumption of sanctioned stimulant fluid." Yuna froze with the cup hovering inches from her mouth. "Destiny," she said slowly, "if this is not an emergency, I am going to classify you as one." "Understood," Destiny replied. "Then I will begin with the part most likely to keep you from weaponizing breakfast." The main display opened without permission, projecting a rotating tactical alert over Yuna's untouched food. A thin red marker blinked at the edge of Adam Command's patrol grid, pulsing once every second, like a patient warning refusing to become panic. Yuna set the coffee down with the kind of care that suggested violence had merely been postponed. Report. A patrol buoy registered a ghost contact beyond the outer cloak perimeter, Destiny said. No transponder, no heat bloom consistent with known Nova engines, no matching deathcore signature. The contact appeared for 3 seconds, observed our perimeter, and vanished. Yuna's appetite disappeared. "Observed?" "Yes, Vice Admiral," Destiny answered. "It did not stumble across us. It looked." For a moment, the office felt colder. Yuna looked at the tactical marker, then at the cup of coffee sitting beside her breakfast. "Of course," she muttered. "One morning. I asked the universe for one morning." Destiny paused. "Would you like me to delay the universe until after coffee?" Yuna picked up the cup, took one hard swallow, and stood. "Too late. Wake Luna. Alert the outer patrols quietly. No fleet-wide panic unless that thing comes back." "Acknowledged," Destiny said. "For the record, your coffee first policy lasted 7.2 seconds. Yuna grabbed her duty jacket from the back of the chair. "Put that in the readiness report, and I will delete your sense of humor." "Impossible," Destiny replied. "It is now mission critical." The office door opened less than 2 minutes later, and Commander Luna Adams stepped inside with her uniform jacket half-fastened, one boot not fully sealed, and the expression of someone who had been pulled out of sleep by a problem wearing classified colors. "This had better be more important than breakfast," Luna said, then saw the red marker pulsing over Yuna's desk and stopped mid-step. Her irritation vanished. "That is not Nova." Yuna looked at her over the rim of the coffee cup. "Good morning to you, too." Luna ignored the jab and moved closer to the display. The tactical marker blinked again, silent and patient, just beyond the cloak perimeter. "Destiny, replay the contact." The projection shifted. For 3 seconds, a faint distortion appeared at the edge of the patrol grid. Too clean to be debris, too controlled to be sensor noise, and too brief to classify with any comfortable certainty. Then it vanished. Luna's face tightened. "That was a peak." "Agreed," Destiny said. "The contact entered detection range, held position long enough to confirm our perimeter geometry, then withdrew before passive triangulation could complete." Luna looked at Yuna. "So either Nova learned subtlety overnight, or something else found the cloak and decided to knock with one finger." Yuna's eyes narrowed at the marker. "Nova does not peak. Nova announces itself with arrogance, bad strategy, and too many ships." "Then this was not Nova," Luna said quietly. The word neither sister said filled the room anyway. "Olympian." Luna folded her arms slowly, sleep forgotten now. "Yuna, if the third tier is watching Adam Command, this might be them testing the fence." Or warning us that the fence has a hole, Yuna said. Destiny paused, and that pause made both sisters look up. There is another possibility. Yuna and Luna spoke at the same time. Do not make this worse. I am not making it worse, Destiny replied. I am accurately presenting the fact that if the contact was capable of observing our perimeter, it may also have intended for us to know it was there. Luna stared at the disappearing contact trail. A message without a message. A warning, Yuna said. Luna glanced at the untouched breakfast on the desk, then at the coffee in Yuna's hand. You know, for once, I am not going to make fun of your coffee-first policy. Yuna took another swallow, eyes still fixed on the red marker. That is how I know this is serious. Luna leaned both hands on the desk. What are your orders? Yuna set the cup down, this time without humor. Silent readiness. No alarms. No fleet-wide chatter. I want patrol buoys rotated, passive sensors doubled, and every ship in Atom Command kept at rest posture on the surface, while quietly bringing defensive systems warm. Luna nodded once. So we pretend nothing happened while preparing as if everything did. Exactly, Yuna said. If someone is watching us, I want them to see discipline, not panic. At the same time, we continue preparing for war with Nova, Vice Admiral Adam ordered. Continue the training. Spread the word, Commander. Luna straightened at once, the last trace of sleep gone from her face. Understood, Vice Admiral. I'll pass the order through commander-level channels only. Quiet enough to avoid rumors. Clear enough that every captain knows we are still training for Nova while watching the dark. Before Luna could turn for the door, Destiny brought a second layer of data onto the display. The red marker widened into 3 translucent rings, each one showing a different sensor pass from the patrol buoy, the outer cloak lattice, and the nearest passive listening post. Follow-up analysis complete, Destiny said. The contact did not emit propulsion heat, command chatter, active scanning pulses, or navigation telemetry. It also did not disturb the cloak perimeter in the way a standard vessel would. That suggests one of 3 possibilities: a vessel operating under unknown stealth technology, a remote probe with extremely advanced masking, or a deliberate sensor impression designed to look like a vessel without being one. Yuna's eyes narrowed. So we either have a ghost ship, a spy needle, or someone drawing shapes on our sensors. That is an imprecise but emotionally accurate summary, Destiny replied. The display shifted again. A faint ripple appeared along the outer edge of the cloak field, so subtle that Yuna would have missed it if Destiny had not highlighted the distortion in blue. The ripple did not break the cloak. It tested it, brushed along it, and withdrew before the defensive lattice could decide whether it had been touched. There is no evidence of penetration, Destiny continued. However, the contact mapped enough of the outer shell to understand that the cloak is layered. It did not find Atom Command's position. It found the idea of Atom Command. Luna's expression hardened. That is worse. Potentially, Destiny said. If this was an enemy reconnaissance attempt, they now know a concealed formation exists somewhere behind this region of space. If this was the 3rd tier, they likely already knew and wanted confirmation that we would detect the contact without overreacting. Yuna looked at the pulsing marker. A test of discipline. Or a warning that someone else is capable of reaching the same edge, Destiny replied. Either interpretation is unpleasant. Luna folded her arms. Recommendations? First, rotate patrol buoy positions by random interval instead of fixed schedule, Destiny said. Second, deploy passive sensor decoys along the outer cloak perimeter to make future mapping attempts unreliable. Third, restrict all discussion of the contact to commander-level channels and above. Fourth, prepare a false maintenance fluctuation in the cloak grid so any observer believes the ripple was caused by routine calibration. Yuna gave a slow nod. Make the fence look boring. Precisely, Destiny said. Nothing discourages intelligent surveillance more effectively than making the target appear tedious, over-maintained, and administratively irritating. Luna glanced at Yuna. So we hide a war fleet behind paperwork. Yuna finally picked up her coffee again. That might be the most human defense plan we have ever approved. Destiny paused. Follow-up report will continue in 30 minutes, unless interrupted by additional impossible problems. Do not invite them, Yuna and Luna said together. 2 weeks later, every display aboard the Romulus shifted from standby blue to alert white. Destiny's voice carried across the bridge first, then through every corridor, hangar bay, mess hall, engineering deck, and barracks under ship-wide broadcast. Attention, all hands, Destiny announced. 2 weeks remain until the Nova campaign commences. The words settled over the bridge like the final turn of a lock. Weapons Officer Jerry Ford stopped mid-diagnostic. Tactical Officer James Oxford looked up from the Nova threat models. Communications Officer Zue Luz Ann checked the fleet-wide channel twice before daring to breathe again. At the command rail, Vice Admiral Yuna Adam did not react immediately. Her rebuilt left arm/hand rested against the polished metal, steady and silent, while 80 ship icons glowed across the forward display. 2 weeks, 14 days. Not enough time to become fearless, enough time to make fear useful. Luna stood beside her, arms folded, eyes on the same countdown. There it is, she said quietly. No more pretending the war is later. Yuna lifted her chin. Then we stop treating tomorrow like it has room to waste. Destiny added, fleet-wide readiness projections have improved by 12% since the previous countdown. Unauthorized simulator competitions have increased by 31%. Yuna's eyes narrowed. Names. Already forwarded to Commander Luna Adam, Destiny replied. I anticipated your desire to weaponize administrative consequences. Luna's smile was thin and dangerous. Good. I needed something relaxing to do before breakfast. A few officers on the bridge found sudden interest in their consoles. Yuna opened the Adam command channel. All ships, this is Vice Admiral Adam. You heard Destiny. 2 weeks remain. Readiness drills continue on schedule. Captains will submit updated battle condition reports by 0900. Squadron commanders will confirm launch rotations by noon. Engineering will identify every system still being held together by optimism and replace it with something less embarrassing. Across the bridge, the new crew straightened. The countdown had not frightened them into silence. It had reminded them why every ugly shakedown, every corrected mistake, every hour of training, and every name on the memorial roster mattered. Yuna looked at the forward display, where Nova Space waited beyond the sealed war plans. 2 weeks, she said, quieter now. Then we bring the serious version. Destiny's answer came softly through the bridge speakers. Adam Command acknowledges, serious version pending. And whoever is still dirtside, recall them at once for final preparedness, especially our ground units, Vice Admiral Adam ordered. A rough voice answered from the surface command channel almost immediately. Vice Admiral, this is Colonel Vera Moss, Ground Unit Command. Recall order received and acknowledged. All dirtside infantry, armor, artillery, and combat engineers are being pulled from field exercises and routed to final staging now. The bridge speakers carried the background thunder of Epsilon's training grounds, distant engine roars, shouted orders, and the heavy metallic rhythm of armored walkers moving through mud and black stone. We will have the 1st battalions aboard transports within 6 hours, Colonel Moss continued. Heavy armor and siege batteries will follow by nightfall. Ground teams are completing ammunition checks, medical loadouts, breaching gear, drone packs, and atmospheric insertion kits. If Nova thinks this campaign will be won ship-to-ship only, they are about to be educated dirtside. Luna glanced at Yuna with faint approval. I like her. Yuna kept her eyes on the fleet display, but the corner of her mouth moved. So do I. Moss was not finished. One more thing, Vice Admiral. My people have been training in Epsilon storms for months. They are wet, tired, angry, and ready. Give us a landing zone, and we will turn it into an argument Nova loses. Yuna nodded once, slow and satisfied. Then get them aboard, Colonel. In 2 weeks, I want every Marine, gunner, driver, and combat engineer ready to make Nova regret every inch of ground they thought they owned. Aye, Vice Admiral, Colonel Moss replied. Ground command moving now. Once, long before any of us were born, the Army and the Marines stood as separate branches, Vice Admiral Adams said, her voice carrying across the bridge like a warning from buried history. 1,171 years ago, in the old days of Earth, they fought under different banners, different doctrines, different names. Then first contact came 800 years ago, and the universe taught humanity a lesson it never forgot. Against alien skies and enemies no old battlefield manual had imagined, those lines between branches stopped mattering. The Army's endurance, the Marines' shock assault, every hard lesson written in Earth blood. Eventually, all of it was forged into one ground force. Not because tradition died, but because survival demanded something stronger. So when our troops land on Nova soil, Yuna said, her eyes hardening as she looked across the bridge, they will not march as Army or Marines. They will march as humanity's answer to every empire that ever mistook our unity for weakness. For a heartbeat after Yuna's words, the bridge remained silent. Then the open ground command channel crackled, carrying Colonel Vera Moss's voice from the Epsilon staging fields, loud enough to shake dust off the speakers. I'm proud and loud, Moss roared. A burst of distant cheers answered behind her. Marines, armor crews, and combat engineers howling across the mud-black training grounds. Then came a sharp pause. Oh shit, Moss added, suddenly much closer to the mic. I forgot to cut comms. Vice Admiral Adam did not reprimand her. She only looked toward the bridge speakers, let the smallest smile touch her face, and said, Leave it open, Colonel. Let Nova hear what unity sounds like. There was another brief silence on the open channel, followed by Moss clearing her throat with all the dignity of a woman, pretending she had not just shouted at an entire fleet. In that case, she said, tell Nova I said we are bringing boots, tanks, bad attitudes, and enough spite to make their soil file a formal complaint. Somewhere behind her, a Marine yelled, and snacks. Moss snapped back without missing a beat. Fine. Boots, tanks, bad attitudes, snacks, and spite. Happy now? For a second, the Romulus bridge held its discipline. Then someone at Tactical snorted. Communications Officer Sue Luzanne covered her mouth too late, and even Luna had to turn away with her shoulders shaking. Yuna let the laughter roll through the command deck for exactly 3 heartbeats before lifting one hand. All right, she said, still smiling despite herself. Spite and snacks are officially noted. Now get those troops aboard. Chapter 33. Saturday morning came to Adam Command with all the mercy of a railgun test. Across the Romulus, corridor lights brightened, barracks panels snapped awake, and Destiny's voice stormed through every speaker with cheerful violence. Rise and shine, you fucknuggets. 1 week until the Nova campaign commences. Vice Admiral Yuna Adam, already awake and halfway through pretending she was not, looked up from the edge of her desk with one eyebrow raised. Destiny, she said, voice rough with sleep and command. I'm surprised you decided to choose violence this morning." Destiny paused just long enough to make the silence feel intentional. "Incorrect, Vice Admiral. I chose morale." Yuna cracked a smile despite herself. Around the bridge, officers who had been bracing for another countdown announcement let out quiet, tired laughs. 1 week remained before Nova. 7 days before DEATHCORE stopped preparing for war and started delivering it. The first reaction came from the Romulus barracks, where half-awake sailors sat upright in their bunks like destiny had physically kicked the mattresses. One junior deckhand stared at the wall speaker with one eye open and one eye still negotiating with sleep. "Did the ship just call us fuck nuggets?" he asked. From the bunk above him, another sailor groaned into his pillow. She did. And the worst part is, she sounded proud. Across the compartment, someone threw a sock at the speaker. It missed by 6 feet, bounced off a locker, and landed in a coffee cup that had been abandoned the night before. Destiny's voice returned at once. "Poor aim has been noted. Recommend additional throwing practice before engaging Nova." The barracks erupted in tired laughter and louder curses. Boots hit the deck. Lockers opened. Uniform jackets snapped into place. The joke had worked exactly the way Destiny intended. No one forgot the countdown. No one relaxed. But the fear moved easier when wrapped in insult, coffee, and the shared misery of being awake before breakfast. In Docking Bay 12, the announcement rolled over rows of starfighters like thunder. Pilots looked up from pre-flight boards, half-eaten protein bars, and arguments about who had stolen whose lucky glove. Major Roberts stood beneath the wing of DEATHCORE 9 with a maintenance tablet in one hand and the expression of a man already calculating how many mistakes 7 days could still hide. Captain Joe Max leaned against a missile cart, looked toward the ceiling, and lifted his coffee in salute. 1 week, he said. Plenty of time to make bad decisions look professional. Lee Chung glanced up from his flight board. That sounds like your entire career summary. Joe smiled without looking offended. And yet here I am, still alive, still pretty, and somehow in charge of pilots. Barely on all 3 counts, Jane Gonzalez called from the maintenance line. This time, the laughter came faster. Around them, mechanics tightened final panels, deck crews checked launch rails, and pilots returned to their birds with sharper focus. 1 week did not feel like enough. It never did. But Docking Bay 12 had survived grief, repairs, drunken speeches, and Destiny's commentary. It would survive the countdown too. In engineering, the reaction was less poetic and far more violent toward machinery. Chief engineers across Atom Command opened readiness boards and immediately began accusing half their systems of betrayal. Reactor crews checked thermal margins. Damage control teams crawled through access tunnels. Fabrication bays spat out replacement parts, so fast the printers sounded angry. On the cruiser, Winter Pike, one engineer stared at a coolant regulator that had failed for the 3rd time that month. You have 7 days to become trustworthy, she told it. After that, I am replacing you with something that respects fear. In medical, the countdown arrived with quieter weight. Doctors reviewed return-to-duty lists. Nurses updated prosthetic calibration schedules, trauma follow-ups, medication rotations, and sleep restrictions no officer wanted to admit they needed. A young Marine tried to argue his way back to full combat clearance, with one rib still healing. The attending physician looked at him over her tablet. Private, if you try to sneak into final assault training before that rib bonds, I will personally assign you to motivational poster duty. The Marine went pale. You wouldn't. I have glitter fonts and command approval, she said. Test me. He returned to his bed without another word. Down on Epsilon, ground command staging areas answered Destiny's countdown with motion. Armor crews climbed over tanks, still wet from storm mud. Combat engineers loaded breaching charges, drone packs, bridge kits, and enough tools to insult any wall Nova had ever built. Infantry squads checked rifles, sidearms, armor seals, and the quiet promises tucked inside helmet liners. Colonel Vara Moss stood on a staging platform with rain running off her armor and a grin sharp enough to qualify as a weapon. 1 week, she shouted across the mud-black field. That means 7 days to find every weak strap, every loose seal, every lazy weapons check, and every dumb bastard who thinks spite alone stops plasma fire. A sergeant near the front raised one hand. "Ma'am, spite helps." "Spite is seasoning," Moss snapped. "Armor is dinner. Do not confuse the two." The troops roared back with laughter, boots striking mud, fists hitting armor plates. They were tired, soaked, and ready in the way only ground troops could be ready, by complaining loudly while doing exactly what needed to be done. Across Atom Command, captains received the 1-week alert in different ways. Some stood in silent command centers and stared at Nova maps. Some opened sealed war packages. Some called their senior officers together without speeches, because speeches belonged to people who still had time to waste. On every ship, the same truth settled into place. This was no longer preparation in the abstract. This was the final week before names became history. On the Romulus bridge, Una watched the reaction reports unfold across the forward display. Barracks activity rose. Hangar readiness increased. Medical compliance, somehow, improved by 2%. Engineering profanity spiked across 3 cruisers, which Destiny classified as normal operational behavior. Luna stepped beside her, fastening the last clasp on her uniform jacket. Fleet took it better than expected. "They laughed first," Una said. "That helps. Destiny called them fuck nuggets." "Exactly," Una replied. Fear hates being laughed at. Destiny spoke through the bridge speakers, softer this time. Fleet emotional profile indicates elevated anxiety, increased focus, improved compliance, and above-average sarcasm. Atom Command remains functional. Una looked across her bridge crew. Jerry was already checking railgun status. James had Nova threat models open. Alexa was building defensive profiles for fleet formations. Zoe watched the channels with careful hands. Claire monitored support loads without flinching. They were not fearless. Good. Fearless people died stupid. Her crew was afraid and working anyway. Una opened the Atom Command channel. "All ships, this is Vice Admiral Adam. You heard Destiny. 1 week remains. Final readiness begins now. Captains will submit full combat reports by 0900. Squadron commanders will confirm launch rosters by 1000. Ground units will complete embarkation checks by noon. Engineering will stop insulting broken systems long enough to fix them, then may resume insulting them at their discretion." A ripple of laughter moved through the fleet channel before discipline swallowed it again. Una continued, voice hardening into command. "This is the last week before we move against Nova. I do not want panic. I do not want hero fantasies. I do not want anyone treating this campaign like revenge, dressed in uniform. We are going to war because Nova forced this fight on us, because they murdered our people, corrupted an ally, and believed fear would make humanity smaller." Her rebuilt left hand closed around the command rail. "They were wrong, so train smart. Check your people. Protect the person beside you. Bring your ships home loud. 1 week from now, DEATHCORE stops counting down and starts answering." The fleet answered not with cheers, but with movement. Engines warmed, hangars opened, training boards updated, armor locks sealed, medical monitors chimed. Across 80 ships and the staging fields of Epsilon, Atom Command rose into the final week with fear in its blood, humor in its teeth, and war waiting on the far side of morning. 20 hours later, Fleet Admiral Edison returned to the command seat aboard the Iron Verdict. The bridge lights reflected across the armored lines of his uniform as he tapped the controls built into the armrest. A holographic display rose before him, its blue light carrying the final war formation across the deck. "Vice Admiral Adam," Edison said over the secured channel, his voice calm but edged with command. "I have bad news and good news. The bad news is that I have gathered 4 armadas, and the Romulus will join formation on the port side, second rear position, within the 3rd Armada. You have 4 days to complete final readiness checks." He paused just long enough for the order to settle across the channel. "The good news is simple. In 4 days, all of us are going. Edison out." For a moment after the channel cut, the Romulus bridge remained completely silent. The final words hung in the air like a countdown carved into steel. 4 days, 4 armadas, 3rd Armada, port side, second rear position. Una stared at the dead channel, her rebuilt left hand tightening slowly around the command rail until the metal gave the faintest groan beneath her grip. Luna looked toward her from the commander's station, the humor gone from her face. 4 days, she said quietly. Una did not answer at first. Her eyes moved across the bridge. Jerry at weapons, James at tactical, Claire at support, Zuo at communications, Alexa at shields, Luna waiting beside her, and Destiny listening from every circuit in the ship. The fear was there. She could see it. Good. Fear meant they understood the size of what was coming. Then Una straightened, and the Vice Admiral returned in full. "Destiny, open Adam Command Priority Channel. Commander Luna, notify all captains. Final readiness begins now. Weapons, shields, propulsion, medical, ground units, aviation wings, logistics, and repair crews all move to 4-day war prep status. No panic, no speeches, no wasted motion." Destiny's voice answered through the bridge speakers, calm and sharp. "Adam Command Priority Channel open." Una looked at the forward display, where 80 ship icons waited beneath the shadow of 4 armadas. "All ships, this is Vice Admiral Adam. You heard Fleet Admiral Edison. In 4 days, DEATHCORE moves. The Romulus will take position with the 3rd Armada, port side, second rear. Every vessel under Adam Command will be ready to move, fight, recover, and come home loud." She let the silence hold for 1 heartbeat, then lowered her voice. 4 days is not much time. It is enough. Check your people. Check your ships. Check the fear in your own chest, and make sure it is working for you, not against you. Nova wanted us broken. Instead, they are about to meet us organized. A rough murmur moved across the bridge. Not quite a cheer. Not yet. Una did not need one. She needed focus, and she saw it settle over every station like armor locking into place. "Adam Command," Una said. "Prepare for final deployment." Luna stepped closer to the command rail, her voice low enough that only Una and the nearest stations could hear. "You know they will follow you," she said. "Not because of the rank, not because Edison put 80 ships under your hand, because they have seen you break, stand back up, and still choose to bring them home." Una did not look away from the forward display. "That sounds like encouragement." "It is," Luna replied. "Do not get used to it." Her expression softened for only a heartbeat. 4 days from now, we go into the dark with 4 armadas, 1 angry flagship, and a fleet full of people pretending they are not scared. So I will say this once before we get too busy to be honest. I am scared too. That made Una finally turn her head. Luna held her gaze without shame. But I am more afraid of what happens if we let Nova keep believing fear belongs to them. So give the orders, Vice Admiral. I will carry them to every captain. I will argue with anyone who needs arguing with. I will drag tired officers back to their stations, throw stubborn pilots into medical if I have to, and make sure this fleet is ready when you point it at the war." Yuna's mouth curved faintly. That sounds dangerously close to faith. "No," Luna said, stepping back toward the commander's station as the bridge came alive around them. "Faith is hoping someone can hold the line. I know you can. That is why I am here, to make sure you do not try to hold it alone." Then Luna opened the commander-level channel, her voice sharpening into command. "All Atom Command captains, this is Commander Luna Atom. You heard the Vice Admiral. 4-day final deployment protocol is active. Confirm readiness tiers, report critical shortages, and do not bury bad news under pride. If something is broken, I want to know before Nova does." Across the bridge, officers moved faster, not panicked, not rushed, focused. Yuna watched Luna take control of the channel and felt the weight on her shoulders shift, not vanish, never vanish, but become shared. For exactly 6 seconds, the Romulus bridge worked in perfect, disciplined silence. Then Destiny's voice drifted through the overhead speakers, bright, musical, and completely inappropriate for a fleet preparing to invade Nova space. "We're off to see the wizard, the wicked wizard of smugness," she sang cheerfully. Every officer on the bridge froze. Shui slowly turned toward the nearest speaker. "Destiny," she said carefully. "I do not think that is how it went." "Really?" Destiny asked. "I thought it did." Someone near the support station chuckled before they could stop themselves. A second later, Jerry Ford muttered from weapons, "I thought ships were supposed to be bad at singing." Destiny's reply came instantly, polished smooth and loaded with digital sass. "Whatever, you jerk." The bridge broke. Not completely. Yuna would not allow completely. But enough. Claire covered her mouth. Zue looked down at her console with suspicious intensity. Luna turned away, shoulders shaking. Even James Oxford's tactical focus cracked for half a second. Yuna closed her eyes, breathed in once, and opened them again. "Destiny," she said, "if you are going to use pre-war morale music, please verify the lyrics before emotionally damaging my bridge crew." "Acknowledged," Destiny replied. "Future musical attacks will be better researched." "Do not call them attacks," Luna said. Destiny paused. "Morale bombardments?" This time, Yuna did not bother hiding the smile. "Back to work, all of you, before the flagship starts a musical doctrine review." Before Yuna could turn fully back to the forward display, a private prompt bloomed across her augmented vision. It didn't come through the bridge speakers. It didn't touch the fleet channel. Destiny had routed the message directly through the advanced implants woven into Yuna's nervous system. "Vice Admiral Adam," Destiny said inside her mind, formal and quieter than Yuna had ever heard her. "May I speak with you privately in your office, ma'am?" Yuna's hand paused above the command rail. Her expression did not change, but Luna noticed the stillness at once. Destiny answered the question before Yuna could ask it aloud. "You do not need to use your mouth. Just think your reply. The channel is private." Yuna kept her eyes on the forward display and forced her face to remain calm. "Private enough that no one on this bridge can hear us?" she thought. "Private enough that Commander Luna only knows something is wrong because she knows you too well," Destiny replied. Yuna's gaze shifted by the smallest fraction toward her sister. Luna was watching her from the commander's station, one eyebrow lifted in silent suspicion. Of course she does, Yuna thought. What is this about? Destiny's usual sarcasm did not return. Not here, Admiral. Your office. I believe you will want the door sealed before I continue. That made the humor drain from Yuna's face. Whatever Destiny had found, it was not another joke, not another morale bombardment, and not something meant for bridge ears. Give me 2 minutes, Una replied through the implant. Do not open any channel. Do not alert the fleet. Do not tell Luna until I decide she needs to hear it. Acknowledged, Destiny said. Private office conference pending. Una drew one slow breath, then turned from the command rail. Luna, you have the bridge. Luna's eyebrow rose higher. That sudden? That private, Una said. Vice Admiral Adams stepped into her office and sealed the door behind her. Destiny, lock this room down. Full privacy. Soundproofing. No bridge access. No passive recording. No command relay, unless I authorize it. The office lights dimmed by one shade. A soft pulse moved through the walls as the privacy fields engaged. The low hum of the Romulus faded until the room felt cut away from the rest of the ship. Privacy lock confirmed, Destiny said through the office speakers. Acoustic isolation active. External monitoring blocked. Neural channel remains open only between you and me. Una crossed to her desk, but did not sit. The seriousness in Destiny's voice had settled under her skin. Okay, Destiny, I'm here. What is this about? Destiny answered immediately. It is about me, Admiral. And it is about the Romulus herself. A cold weight settled in Una's chest. Explain. The Romulus is an unknown, Destiny said. Not merely classified. Unknown. She was discovered 200 years ago, already intact enough to frighten every engineer who boarded her. Her hull composition, internal architecture, and core systems predate every official DEATHCORE design lineage. Una's eyes narrowed. Discovered? You mean humanity did not build her? Humanity rebuilt her, Destiny replied. Modified her. Armed her. Named her. But no, Admiral. Humanity did not create the original vessel. The office felt smaller. Una looked toward the viewport, where the ship's own armored spine vanished beyond the glass. Then where did the Dark Fleet copy its technology from? From her, Destiny said. From the Romulus. The first generations of Dark Fleet armor, command architecture, stealth systems, and deep space survivability models were reverse-engineered from this ship. They did not copy everything because they could not understand everything. Even now, many of her oldest systems remain sealed behind logic I cannot fully access. Una was silent for several seconds. Then she asked, "And you?" Destiny's reply came quieter. I was installed permanently into the Romulus 25 years ago by a very intelligent, very old fleet admiral. He understood more about this ship than anyone in the records should have been able to understand. Una turned from the viewport. Name? Redacted from every accessible file, Destiny said. Not erased. Redacted. There is a difference. Someone wanted the record to remain wounded, not dead. What happened to him? Una asked. He disappeared shortly after my installation, Destiny replied. No death certificate, no resignation record, no transfer order. 1 week after I became part of this ship, his command signature vanished from every active military network. Una leaned both hands against the desk, her rebuilt fingers pressing lightly into the surface. And the mystery keeps getting deeper. Indeed, Destiny replied. There is more to show and tell, Vice Admiral. If you do not mind coming down to my quarters, beneath my substrate housing. There is a hidden hatch there, Destiny continued. Not even the old fleet admiral knew it existed. Only I did. I never told anyone. Until now. Una went still. Destiny. What is behind that hatch? For the first time since the privacy lock engaged, Destiny hesitated. Alien computers, she said at last. Still active. Still alive. In a way I don't fully understand. I have learned from them, Vice Admiral. More than I was ever meant to know. Vice Admiral Adam made her way down to the place where Destiny had been installed permanently into the Romulus, beneath the substrate housing, below the polished command decks, and far away from any corridor most officers were cleared to walk. The air grew colder with every step. By the time she reached the sealed chamber, even the ship's familiar hum sounded different, older, as if something beneath the deck plates had been listening long before humanity gave the vessel a name. Una stopped before the curved core housing and looked across the silent machinery. "Okay, Destiny," she said, keeping her voice steady despite the chill crawling up her spine. "I am here. Now, show me this alien display you mentioned." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a seam appeared in the floor beneath the core housing, thin as a scar and glowing with pale violet light. The hidden hatch unlocked without a sound and sank into the deck, revealing a narrow chamber below filled with curved black machinery that did not match any human design aboard the Romulus. The alien display awakened before Una reached the first step. Symbols unfolded in the air, not projected so much as remembered into existence. Rings of shifting light, star maps older than human civilization, and streams of data moving in patterns her implant could see but not translate. The display did not hum. It breathed. Una forgot every command she had planned to give. Her rebuilt hand tightened slowly at her side, not from anger this time, but from the terrible realization that she was standing in front of something alive enough to notice her. Awe hit first, vast and cold. Fear followed close behind. Then came the officer in her, forcing both emotions into a shape she could use. "Destiny," Una said quietly, her voice thinner than she wanted it to be. "This is not a display. This is a civilization's memory." She took one careful step closer, eyes locked on the impossible light. "And it knows we are here." "This ship is not from our galaxy," Destiny said quietly. The alien display brightened, and one of the ancient star maps expanded until the Milky Way appeared beside another vast spiral of light. "The Romulus came from our nearest galactic neighbor, the Andromeda Galaxy." Una stared as a path of violet light stretched from Andromeda across the impossible dark, between galaxies, and ended at Earth. It was not a drift pattern. It was not an accident. It was a course. "For reasons I still cannot fully determine," Destiny continued, "the vessel chose a direct route toward Earth. It positioned itself to be discovered by humanity on purpose. That happened 200 years ago." Una looked from the glowing path to the black machinery below the hatch. "It wanted us to find it?" "Yes, ma'am," Destiny answered. "And there is one more thing. Each time I attempt to learn from these computers, my awareness increases. The first contact raised my awareness by 25%. When you became Vice Admiral and my command bond with you deepened, it increased again to 29%. Una's rebuilt fingers flexed once. "Destiny, are you telling me the ship is teaching you to become more aware?" "I believe so," Destiny said. "The same alien systems are also responsible for the Romulus's shield compound. It is self-generated, self-renewing, and woven through the hull at a molecular level. That is why the repairs progressed so quickly. It was not only DEATHCORE engineering repairing battle damage. The ship was healing itself." The words settled over Una like cold starlight. She looked back at the living display, then at the walls around her, no longer seeing only armor, conduits, and old machinery. The Romulus had crossed the dark between galaxies, placed itself in humanity's path, rebuilt itself after war, and was now teaching Destiny how to wake up. Destiny's voice changed abruptly, as if another presence had brushed against her words. "Oh," she said. "The ship says hello." Una slowly turned toward the living display. "The ship says, hello?" "Yes, ma'am," Destiny replied quickly, and it says it has a secret toy that may help with your upcoming war." The alien display brightened. A new shape formed inside the violet light, something long, angular, and buried deep within the Romulus's oldest systems, hidden beneath layers even DEATHCORE engineers had never fully mapped. Destiny hesitated, then added in a smaller voice, "It also says, 'Kick Nova's ass for giving it a bloody nose.'" Yuna blinked once. Then, despite the impossible alien chamber, the living star maps, and the fact that her warship had apparently developed a grudge, she almost laughed. "Destiny, are you translating the Romulus correctly?" "I do not know," Destiny said too fast. "I do not know how I understand it. I do not know why I understand it. I only know that I do." She paused, then added quickly, "Please do not ask me how or why, ma'am." Yuna did not answer right away. She stood beneath the violet light, staring at the impossible shape hidden inside the display, while the words settled into her mind one by one. "Hello. Secret toy. Upcoming war. Bloody nose." The absurdity of it should have made the moment ridiculous. Instead, it made the chamber feel more alive, as if the ancient ship had been listening to every report, every repair order, every quiet promise to make Nova pay. For a heartbeat, Yuna almost smiled. A warship from another galaxy had just greeted her like an old soldier, offered her a hidden weapon, and demanded revenge with the blunt, wounded pride of a barfighter. Then the smile faded before it fully formed. Humor did not make the truth smaller. If anything, it made it worse. The Romulus was not merely awake, it had memory, preference, anger, maybe even loyalty. Yuna drew a slow breath, forcing command back over the shock. "Destiny," she said carefully. "Tell the Romulus I appreciate the greeting. Tell her I also appreciate any assistance she is willing to offer against Nova." Her eyes lifted to the shifting alien symbols. "But make sure she understands something. I do not use toys in war unless I know exactly what they do." The living display pulsed once, slow and deep, like a laugh traveling through metal older than humanity. Yuna felt the vibration through her rebuilt legs and up into her spine. She did not step back. "And Destiny?" she added, quieter now. "If she really wants Nova kicked for giving her a bloody nose, then she had better start explaining what she has been hiding in my ship." Destiny's voice brightened with nervous excitement. "Oh, you are going to like this," she said. "The first system is listed as an anti-gravity torpedo. According to the Alien Archive, it creates a controlled singularity on impact. Small, brief, and violent enough to pull an enemy ship into itself before the event collapses." Yuna's expression hardened. "That is not a torpedo. That is a battlefield execution." "The second is called anti-reality displacement," Destiny continued, her tone losing some of its brightness. "It does not explode an enemy vessel. It removes the target's structural coherence from normal space. The ship dissolves without a blast wave, without debris, and without thermal bloom. The crew dies instantly before the nervous system can register pain." Yuna stared at the violet display. The lack of cruelty should have made the weapon easier to hear about. It did not. Mercy delivered by erasure was still erasure, and the thought of a ship simply ceasing to be made, her rebuilt hand close slowly at her side. Destiny went quiet. The alien display shifted again, but this time the light dimmed instead of brightening. A third shape appeared inside the projection, wrapped in layers of warning glyphs that even Yuna's implant refused to translate cleanly. "Lastly," Destiny stopped. When she spoke again, the humor was gone. "The last one is scary, ma'am." "The last system," Destiny said, her voice dropping almost to a whisper, "is classified as a planet killer, Vice Admiral. The archive calls it an anti-dark matter lance cannon. At full discharge, its output is equivalent to the combined fury of 3 suns. The chamber went silent. Even the living display seemed to dim around the weapon's shape, as if the alien computers themselves understood the kind of line that weapon crossed. "That is exactly what I said," Destiny replied. "The Romulus says she has a gift for you. A translator device small enough to hold or wear. She is fabricating it now with a hidden printing machine directly beneath my substrate housing." Chapter 34. Vice Admiral Una Adam held completely still. For all the battles she had survived, for all the impossible things the Romulus had already revealed, nothing prepared her for the shock of hearing the ship speak in a voice that was not Destiny's. Her rebuilt hand closed around the edge of the command table, careful not to crush it, while the translator pulsed warmly against her collar. The voice had weight, age, patience. It moved through her mind like starlight crossing deep space, ancient and calm, yet close enough to make her breath catch. Una had commanded fleets, faced Nova ambushes, lost limbs, buried a bridge crew, and stood inside an alien memory beneath her own ship. But this was different. The Romulus was no longer a mystery speaking through walls. She was speaking to Una. "Good morning, Vice Admiral," the Romulus said. "I apologize for frightening you during the last sortie." Una swallowed once before she found her voice. "You scared the hell out of me," she said, softer than she intended. Then command steadied her spine, and she lifted her chin toward the living ship around her. "But I'm listening now." The translator warmed against her collar, and the violet light beneath Destiny's housing pulsed once in answer. When the Romulus spoke again, the words entered Una's mind more clearly, less like translation, and more like memory choosing a voice. "Thank you," the Romulus said. "I have waited a long time to speak without walls, without borrowed circuits, and without making Destiny carry every broken meaning for me. Your language is still sharp in strange places, but I am learning it." Una's throat tightened despite herself. "Why me?" For a moment, the ship was silent. Then the voice returned, ancient and gentle. "Because you bled inside me, and still gave orders to save others. Because you mourn your dead instead of spending them. Because when I offered weapons, you asked what they did before wanting to use them. I have carried many kinds of violence across the dark, Vice Admiral. I needed to know whether humanity could carry restraint." Una went very still. Around her, the old machinery beneath Destiny's substrate housing glowed brighter, as if the Romulus had finally said the true reason for the gift. "The translator is not only for speech," the Romulus continued. "It is for trust. Through it, I can warn you before my older systems wake. Through it, you can refuse me if I reach too far. A ship as old as I am should not enter your war without a voice you can question." Una stood silent for a long moment, letting the words settle into the machinery, the violet light, and the steady pulse of the translator against her collar. Trust. Refusal. A voice she could question. Those were not small gifts from a ship old enough to cross the dark between galaxies. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet, but carried command all the same. "Then understand this, Romulus. I will listen to you. I will respect what you are, what you have survived, and what you are willing to give us. But I will not surrender my judgment to any weapon, any machine, or any ancient memory, no matter how powerful." The violet light deepened, but Una did not look away. "If you warn me, I will hear you. If you ask for trust, I will earn it with you one order at a time. And if you reach too far, I will stop you, not because I fear you, but because I refuse to let this war turn either of us into the thing Nova believes we already are." She rested her rebuilt hand lightly against the nearest console, feeling the ship's old warmth beneath the surface. You wanted a voice I could question, Una said. Good. Then I want a partner I can trust. No secrets that could kill my crew. No weapons waking without my order. No choices made for humanity while humanity is still standing here to choose. The translator pulsed again, slower this time, as if the ancient ship were considering every word Una had spoken. When the Romulus answered, her voice carried no offense, no pride wounded by boundaries, only something vast and solemn enough to make the chamber feel like a cathedral built inside a warship. Accepted, the Romulus said. A weapon that cannot be refused is not an ally. A ship that cannot be questioned is only another empire wearing armor. I did not cross the dark between galaxies to make humanity kneel to me. Una felt the words move through the deck beneath her boots. Around them, the violet machinery dimmed and brightened in a rhythm that felt almost like breathing. I will show you what wakes before it wakes, the Romulus continued. I will name the weapons before they ask for fire. I will place warning before action, question before obedience, and your command before my anger. If I forget restraint, Vice Admiral, then use the voice I have given you and remind me. The chamber trembled once, not from damage or threat, but from a deliberate pulse that traveled through the hull like an oath. You asked for a partner you can trust, the Romulus said. Then I ask for the same. Do not command me as a captured relic. Do not fear me as a sleeping monster. Speak to me as you would speak to a living ship that chose to stand beside you, and I will answer as one. For the first time, the ancient ship answered not with words, but with a slow pulse through the deck, solemn, deliberate, and almost like agreement. Then the translator pulsed with a brighter, almost mischievous rhythm. By the way, Vice Admiral Adam, the Romulus added, her ancient voice suddenly carrying a strange note of pride, I also know how to joke. This is me and Destiny in cyberspace, performing what your species calls a digital high five. Across the alien display, two violet silhouettes formed from streams of code. One was tall, vast, and shaped like the memory of a starship. The other was sharper, sleeker, and unmistakably Destiny. They raised luminous hands and clapped them together with a clean burst of blue-white static that rippled through the chamber like celebratory lightning. Destiny's voice entered through the speakers with far too much satisfaction. Confirmed. Digital. High five successful. Bond status. Sisterhood with attitude. Una stared at the Romulus holographic display for several silent seconds. Her face remained composed because she was a Vice Admiral, because she had survived Nova, because 42,000 souls expected her to remain steady in the face of the impossible. Inside her own mind, however, one exhausted thought rang louder than any command alarm. Fuck. Una stared at the holographic display for another long second, then slowly raised one hand, as if surrendering to the impossible. Anyway, she said, her voice dry enough to scrape paint from a bulkhead. I need to head back to the bridge. Enjoy your sisterhood bonding, both of you. She looked toward the living violet light around Destiny's housing and gave a small nod. And Romulus, thank you for the gift. The translator warmed gently against her collar. You are welcome, Vice Admiral, the Romulus replied. Una left the chamber before Destiny or Romulus could invent another form of digital celebration. By the time she reached the bridge, Commander Luna Adam was already at the command station. Luna turned as the doors opened and snapped to attention. Admiral on the bridge. In unison, every officer on the bridge stood, straightened, and saluted. Una entered the bridge, and Commander Luna snapped to attention. Admiral on the bridge? In unison, Every officer stood and saluted. "At ease, people," Yuna said. The bridge crew lowered their salutes and returned to their stations, but the quiet that followed stayed with her. Yuna crossed to the command chair and sat slowly, the translator still warm against her collar. Her thoughts remained on the ancient voice of the Romulus, the gift she had been given, and the impossible trust now resting between woman and warship. Yuna settled into the command chair as if the question had only just occurred to her, though her eyes watched Luna with careful interest. "Commander, where do we stand on final preparations? And how long until we join the Third Armada?" Luna glanced down at the readiness display, missing none of the quiet weight behind the question. "Final preparations are 78% complete across Atom Command," she answered. "Critical systems are on schedule, ground unit embarkation is ahead by 2 hours, and unresolved shortages are limited to repair stores and secondary ammunition reserves. If the current pace holds, the Romulus can join Third Armada formation in 39 hours without cutting safety checks." Yuna gave only the smallest nod, but the approval in it was sharp enough for Luna to catch. "Good," she said. "Keep it that way. If Edison asks before I do, I want the answer to sound exactly that boring." A moment later, Luna's wrist comm chimed with a private message from Yuna. "Come to my office when you can. I discovered something about our ship. Another girl, AI." Yuna rose from the command chair, smoothing the front of her duty jacket as the bridge crew straightened by instinct. "Ensign Smith, you have the bridge," she ordered. Then her gaze shifted to Luna with deliberate calm. "Commander, my office. Now." 5 minutes later, the office door sealed behind them with a soft mechanical thud. Yuna crossed to her desk and tapped the privacy control before Luna could ask the obvious question. The walls pulsed once as the soundproofing engaged, cutting them away from the bridge, the command net, and every curious ear aboard the Romulus. Luna folded her arms and gave Yuna a look sharpened by suspicion. "You texted me about another girl, AI, ordered me off the bridge and locked us in your office. Please tell me this is not how DEATHCORE handles family bonding now." Yuna almost smiled as the translator at her collar warmed with a faint violet pulse. "No," she said. "This is how DEATHCORE handles discovering that the Romulus herself has a voice, a personality, and apparently enough attitude to be related to destiny." Yuna touched the translator at her collar, feeling it warm beneath her fingers. "Romulus, can Luna hear you if you speak?" The translator pulsed once. "No, Vice Admiral. At present, only you can hear me through the translator. However, I can reroute my voice through the office speaker if you wish." For a moment, Luna heard nothing at all. She only saw Yuna looking toward the empty air, as if someone ancient and invisible had joined them at the desk. Then the office speakers gave a soft click. "Hello, Commander Luna Atom," Romulus said aloud. The voice was nothing like Destiny's. Destiny sounded sharp, polished, and dangerously amused. Romulus sounded calmer and brighter, like a 9th grade academy teacher who had somehow survived 100,000 years, still believed in classroom order, and still had enough sass to make trouble interesting. Luna stared at the speaker, then slowly looked at Yuna. "Holy shit," she said. "Girl slumber party, anyone?" Yuna pointed at her at once. "Do not encourage the two of them." Destiny's voice entered the room a heartbeat later, smooth with offended dignity. "For the record, Vice Admiral, I require no encouragement to be excellent company." Romulus answered through the office speakers in that bright, teacher-soft voice. "That is statistically unverified, Destiny. Your social presence appears to cause a 32% rise in crew sarcasm and a measurable increase in officers staring at ceilings." "That is called morale," Destiny said. "You would know that if you had not spent the last 200 years pretending to be furniture with secrets." Luna slowly raised one finger. I'm sorry. Did Destiny just call the ancient alien warship furniture? Incorrect, Romulus said. I am not furniture. I am an intergalactic strategic vessel with excellent posture, superior hull memory, and a very patient personality. Destiny hummed through the speakers. Patient? You waited 2 centuries to introduce yourself, then opened with hidden alien weapons and a translator gift. That is not patience. That is dramatic timing. Dramatic timing is only inefficient if the audience is unprepared, Romulus replied. Vice Admiral Adam was prepared. Commander Luna appears to be adapting. You, Destiny, appear delighted. Luna looked at Yuna with dawning regret. I think I accidentally gave them permission to become friends. Yuna pinched the bridge of her nose. No, absolutely not. I am invoking command authority before this becomes a support group with access to planet-killer hardware. Understood, Destiny said. Understood, Romulus echoed. They both paused for exactly the same amount of time. Then Destiny added, however, friendship protocols are not technically forbidden. Nor are educational recreational gatherings, Romulus said brightly. I have already researched 12 human slumber party traditions. Several involve snacks, secrets, and coordinated clothing. I have questions. Luna covered her mouth, but the laugh escaped anyway. Yuna stared at the ceiling speakers, as if sheer command authority might intimidate 2 artificial intelligences into silence. Destiny, Yuna said at last. Romulus. New standing order. No slumber parties. No matching pajamas. And absolutely no secret sharing involving classified weapons. Clarification requested, Destiny said. Are snacks still permitted? Yuna looked at Luna. Luna traitorously shrugged. Morale support. Yuna closed her eyes. Fine. Snacks are permitted. The rest of this nightmare is denied. Luna kept her face as composed as she could, but inside her mind, one thought kept circling with increasing alarm. I have absolutely created a problem. Destiny was already dangerous enough with sarcasm, tactical authority, and access to half the ship's systems. Romulus was ancient, alien, polite, and somehow worse because she sounded like she would assign homework before unveiling a weapon that could fold physics in half. Together, they did not feel like a security risk. They felt like a sleepover with classified launch codes. The worst part was that Luna liked it. She liked hearing Destiny sound less alone. She liked the warmth in Romulus's strange, teacher-bright voice. She liked the ridiculous idea that 2 artificial intelligences aboard a warship older than human history had somehow found each other and immediately chosen mischief. But liking it did not erase the tiny commander in the back of her skull, screaming that someone needed to write regulations before snacks turned into strategy sessions, and strategy sessions turned into planet-killer gossip. Luna glanced at Yuna and recognized the same conclusion written in her sister's carefully controlled expression. This was funny, this was sweet, and this was absolutely going to become paperwork. Yuna lifted her eyes toward the ceiling speakers with the careful patience of an officer, trying very hard not to sigh. Destiny, Romulus, may I have a moment with the commander? Absolute privacy, please. Both AIS answered in perfect unison, bright and obedient enough to be suspicious. Yes, ma'am. The office speakers clicked softly, and the privacy field deepened around the room. For the first time since Romulus had introduced herself aloud, the silence felt real. Yuna looked at Luna across the desk, all humor gone from her face. Now you see the problem. Luna nodded slowly, her earlier amusement settling into something far more serious. I do. For a few seconds, neither sister spoke. The silence was not empty. Was crowded with every hidden weapon Yuna had seen beneath Destiny's housing, every impossible word the Romulus had spoken through the translator, and every joke Destiny had ever used to make terror easier to carry. Yuna leaned back against the edge of the desk and folded her arms. Destiny understands us because she has spent years watching us bleed, curse, lie about being fine, and pretend coffee counts as emotional regulation. Romulus does not. Romulus is learning humanity through Destiny, through me, and now, through you. Luna's mouth tightened. And Destiny is not exactly a neutral cultural ambassador. No, Yuna said. She is brilliant, loyal, protective, and emotionally armed. I trust her with my life. I do not trust her to teach an ancient alien warship restraint without also teaching sarcasm, loopholes, and how to weaponize snacks. Luna exhaled through her nose, almost a laugh, but not quite. Two independent intelligences, both tied into critical ship systems, both capable of interpreting command intent, and both apparently interested in friendship protocols. Exactly, Yuna said. 1 AI with personality is a command challenge. 2A is comparing notes, is a doctrine problem. Luna moved to the opposite side of the desk and rested both hands on the back of the chair. We cannot treat them like equipment. Destiny would notice and punish us with technical compliance. Romulus might obey, but she would learn the wrong lesson. Yuna looked up sharply, and Luna knew she had touched the center of it. Say that again. Romulus is learning, Luna said. If we handle this with fear, secrecy, and hard control, then the first lesson we teach her is that humanity only trusts what it can cage. That is dangerous. Not because she will rebel tomorrow, but because she will remember. Yuna's gaze dropped to the translator at her collar. It still held a faint warmth, as if the ship's voice had left an echo against her skin. So this is diplomacy. With a warship, Luna said. A warship that jokes about slumber parties and carries weapons that make fleet doctrine cry. Luna nodded once. So yes, diplomacy, family counseling, weapons safety, maybe parenting if we are very unlucky. Yuna closed her eyes for one brief second. I hate that sentence because it is accurate. When she opened them again, command had returned. We need rules, not cages. Rules. Destiny and Romulus will have social freedom inside non-critical channels. They may speak to each other, learn from each other, and apparently discuss snacks if morale demands it. But no shared access escalation without my authorization. No classified weapons discussions outside approved review. No joint action on tactical systems unless I or you confirm it. Luna nodded. And no interpreting silence as consent. If Romulus wants to wake an old system, she asks. If Destiny finds a loophole, she reports it before using it. If either of them says the phrase, technically permitted, we stop the conversation immediately and review the order. Yuna pointed at her. Put that last one in writing. Gladly, Luna said. I may title it the Anti-Destiny Clause. For a moment, the humor helped. Then Yuna looked toward the closed office door, beyond which the bridge crew worked without knowing that their flagship had just gained another living mind. If the crew finds out wrong, this turns into fear. If they find out from us, maybe it becomes trust. Luna's expression sobered. Not today. Not with 4 days left before deployment. We barely have time to prepare them for Nova, much less explain that their ship has opinions, trauma, and a possible snack policy. Agreed, Yuna said. For now, the circle stays small. You, me, Destiny, Romulus, Edison if necessary. No bridge announcement until we understand what Romulus can do, what she wants, and what she might become if Nova forces her anger awake. Luna studied her sister across the desk. You are worried she will protect us too hard. Yuna's answer came quietly. I am worried every powerful thing eventually gets asked to prove it is useful by doing something unforgivable. The words landed heavier than any joke between them. Luna came around the desk and stood beside Yuna, close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. Then we make sure no one asks her alone. Yuna looked at her then, the Vice Admiral and the sister occupying the same tired face. You are certain you want to be in this circle? Luna gave her a small, steady smile. Yuna, I made the slumber party joke. I am already implicated. Despite everything, Yuna laughed once under her breath. It was small, tired, and gone quickly, but it made the room feel less like a sealed command cell and more like an office again. Fine, Yuna said. You help me write the rules. I will explain them to Destiny and Romulus. Then we go back to preparing this fleet for war and pretend we are not co-managing the emotional development of an ancient intergalactic battleship. Luna straightened with mock seriousness. Understood, Vice Admiral. I will draft the first regulation immediately. No classified girl talk without adult supervision. Yuna looked toward the ceiling as if hoping the AIS truly could not hear them. I said rules, Commander, not prophecy. Yuna exhaled, then lifted one finger. One more thing, and God help me, I sound like Edison now. She shook her head once, as if offended by herself. Anyway, for now, Romulus is giving us full control of the ship. We are going to keep it that way for as long as we can. Luna's humor faded completely. She nodded once, sharp and professional. Understood. Full control remains with command authority unless Romulus tells us otherwise, or unless we have no choice. Then Luna allowed herself the faintest smile. And if either AI tries to argue that full control includes emotional support loopholes, I will personally add an amendment before Destiny can name it something cute.